Have you ever experienced a spiritual hunger? Not physical hunger. I mean, obviously you have experienced that physical hunger. I'm talking about a spiritual hunger. If you would, soul hunger. Have you ever? It's a universal need. It's a need that I have, you have, everyone has. So let me just give you one quotation by none other than the great French existentialist, an atheist, Jean-Paul Sartre. Okay? He did not believe in God. He was a champion of atheism. But this is what he wrote. Listen to this. That God does not exist, I cannot deny. That my whole being cries out for God, I cannot forget. You know what he's saying? He's saying, I don't believe in God. There is no God. This is all there is to our life, world. When we die, we rot, and that's the end of it. We rot. Okay? But he says, even so, I have a need for God. My whole being cries out for God. That, my friends, is a spiritual hunger. Hey friends, I am Pastor V. Welcome to this platform. We exist for you. That is to say, we are here to provide responses, answers, comments to the questions that you might have. And that's why I am so thankful that you are visiting this platform. And it is my prayer and my hope that your journey of your faith will will move forward. So on that note, if you could subscribe to this, and the reason is so that we may create more contents like this for viewers like you. Let me take you to a quote by Blaise Pascal, the great 17th century French mathematician. And this is what he said, and I appreciate his nuanced description of this spiritual hunger. And I read, there is a God-shaped vacuum. So that hunger, spiritual hunger, has a shape. It's God-shaped. There is a God-shaped vacuum in the heart of each man, which cannot be filled by any created thing, but only by God, the Creator, made known through Jesus. This spiritual hunger is God-shaped, and therefore, if we try to fill that, it won't fit, because anything that's created does not have the God shape, and only God can fit it, and therefore only God can fill it. He can only God through Christ can satisfy our spiritual hunger. I think Russell Brand put it so poignantly when he said, addiction, what he means by addiction is not just the, substance abuse or other forms of addiction. He's talking about idolatry, in that anything that we try to fit the God-shaped vacuum, he's saying that's an addiction or idolatry, and it doesn't fit. Okay, now let me just read the quote. Addiction or idolatry is the soul's attempt to make the material feel holy, to fill a God-shaped void with pleasure, fame, or chemicals. Sex can't give it to you. Fame can't give it to you. Money can't give it to you. Chemicals can't satisfy the hunger. Only God can. You can never quench your spiritual craving through material means. So, friends, we have a spiritual hunger, and we try to fit it with creative things, and that's why it doesn't fit into the God-shaped void, vacuum, and that's why it does not satisfy. So what is the answer then? In Mark chapter 6, Jesus Christ feeds the 5,000. And the reference there is going to the Old Testament account of feeding the Israelites in the wilderness with manna. This bread from heaven. People were hungry physically, and God sends manna and saying, this is the bread from heaven. And Christ claims that analogy, that metaphor, saying, I am the bread of life. Only I can satisfy your spiritual hunger. And that's because, listen, he says, I am God. And that's how I'm going to fit into that God-shaped vacuum. And that's how I'm going to satisfy your spiritual hunger in the following ways. Identity. Christ gives you your true identity, not by your occupation, not by your relational status, not by anything that you have done or accomplished, by the gift, the virtue, the grace of Jesus Christ. He comes to you, says, follow me. He says to you, I am God. I created you. I love you so much that I die for you. And I am sustaining you even right now. Therefore, I'm going to make you a child of God. So that becomes your identity, child of the living God. If that defines who you are, then you can withstand anything else this life can throw at you. What about security? We try to fill that God-shaped vacuum with all kinds of things in terms of security. We need that security. We do. But how do we go about getting that security? Money, insurance, investments, retirement, anything else with which we may feel, oh, now that I have ABC, I feel a bit secure. Friends, the ultimate security is that Jesus, God, is in control, and He will protect you, and whatever comes your way, either He sent it, or He's allowing it. Meaning, He is in control. He has a purpose and a plan for you through the thick and the thin, through the good and the bad, through the beautiful and the ugly. Okay? Lastly, meaning. Meaning in life. You have this need. You got to know, you must know, what's my purpose? What's my meaning in life? How do I contribute to this world, to the people around me? And again, we try to answer that. We try to fill that hole with all kinds of things, creative things. But the meaning, the true meaning of life is for you to glorify the living God, Jesus Christ. You are created by Him. You are redeemed by Him. You are being sustained by Him. And therefore you bring glory to Him. This is the reason for which I have air in my lungs, to give God the glory in all that I do, in all that I am, every day, each day, no matter what happens. That is the meaning. So when you have this identity, security, and destiny in Jesus Christ, that's how He satisfies your spiritual hunger. Let me end with a quote by the amazing C.S. Lewis. He was a professor at the Oxford University, and he was an atheist for the longest time, an intellectual, a giant intellect, right? Okay. And then he became a Christian because of the evidences. And then this is one of the things that he wrote, and I quote, "Creatures are not born with desires unless satisfaction for those desires exists. A baby feels hunger. Well, there is such a thing as food. A duckling wants to swim. Well, there is such a thing as water. Men feel sexual desire. Well, there is such a thing as sex." And listen to this. "If I find myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world." Meaning, only God can satisfy this spiritual hunger, and the name of this God is Jesus Christ. Hey friends, please submit questions below the comments so that we may respond to the things that you are wondering about, questioning about, wrestling with. We want to be relevant for you. So help us to help you. How does that sound? Pretty good? Now, subscribe. Again, when you do that, it creates momentum for us so that we may be more relevant to you. So help us to help you. I like the sound of that. Now, on the note, we are Mosaic House Church, Mosaic House. The reason we chose the word mosaic is we recognize people are at different places on their faith journey. So think of all these multiple pieces of mosaic moving forward, placing in the same different shapes, right? Different colors. So we recognize and respect that we are in different places on our faith journey. So mosaic. So please come along. Let's journey together. On the note, if you happen to live in Edmonton or near Edmonton, I would love to have you as my guest on Sunday morning. We worship at 10:30 every Sunday morning. So you will be my guest. All right. Subscribe. Why? Help us to help you. Bye for now.